That was bad. That's a bad time.
Oh, fuck. What is that?
It's orange juice. Hello and welcome to Fools in Fiction. We are the Fools, and on this episode I have absolutely no idea what we're doing. But that is the gimmick, because Joe does know what we're doing.
So
this is by design. This
is
not something we decided
I was like, hey, this is a topic that I think about a lot. So I've got like a couple of pretty good answers that I don't want to say like I think are obvious, but I think like really fit it pretty well. So the discussion will be characters that like, it's hard to explain, but like once you start thinking about them in depth, you are like, like a lot of things are questionable. So my example, the first one I want to start off with is Bakugo. So like the skin deep thing is like angry child, but like if you start thinking about this, and the reason I think these come up is because the fan fiction community always gets into the thick of things. So with Bakugo, it's like, oh, he's an asshole. But if you think about it, you're like, he probably bullied Deku, and like his quirk is explosions, and he likes to show it off again. Did he like burn Deku? And you get into this downward spiral of like, why is he the way he is? Like, sure, he's got a good quirk, but like he seems too much of an asshole just for that to be the answer. You know what I mean?
Kind of. Give me another example.
Okay, so my other one is Dumbledore. So Dumbledore, you're like, oh, he's the smart guy that knows everything, and like he's mysterious, but he's a good mentor figure. But then you're like, he knew that Harry was gonna have to die and doesn't tell, or he thinks Harry's gonna have to die and doesn't tell Harry. And he also like knows so much shit that he doesn't tell anyone, because even though it would make their lives easier, like for no reason does he tell anyone anything. He also doesn't talk to law enforcement when he should. So like there was a basilisk attack in his school, and instead of fucking calling the cops and being like, hey, some kids have been petrified, this is like pretty fucked up, alert their parents or whatever, he's like, put them in the sick bay, and then just like, man, this has happened before at Hogwarts. And I'm like, why didn't you conduct an investigation the last time this happened? Like, please.
So at first I thought the topic you were saying was just like complex characters, but now you're saying like conspiracy theory characters.
Yes.
Okay.
And this isn't me trying to like shit on Dumbledore or Bakugo or anything. I just think there's like a lot of stuff that doesn't add up for a lot of characters. Like, and this is by design. Like, Horikoshi didn't like think he needed to make Bakugo too complex, because he doesn't really. Like, when you're however old you're supposed to be when you're reading shonen, you're like, he's an angry guy, but he's cool because he's got explosions. You're not thinking like, this man is a bully and should be like put in jail.
Right. So do you think it's just an artifact of the writing process, or do you think there really is something, well, quote unquote, really?
Do you think there's like substance to it, or?
Yeah, it's like a vague.
No, I know, I get what you mean though. Like, I think some have better substance than others. So like, Ozpin is like a character that was written to be a conspiracy. Yeah, at least in my opinion.
No, yeah, I mean definitely, knowing that there's the RWBY Bible.
Yeah, and there's just like a bunch of stuff I posted in RWBY chat. So I think I told you about this, where it was this discussion of how the fuck did Cinder beat Ozpin when she can't beat like Freya or Raven or even like Winter and Penny. And I came up with the idea that Ozpin let himself die so he could be reincarnated to gain Team RWBY's trust.
Oh.
Which is like a fucking terrifying thing, but also completely viable. Like, they've put so much conspiracy around Ozpin.
Yeah.
But like, I think there are other characters that it just happens to. And that's like, I don't think it's bad writing or anything that it happens to. I think it's just like, when you're writing and you can't think about everything.
There's I'll be vague enough that this I don't think will spoil anything.
We'll spoil, okay.
There's a major character in Taz, in the Adventure Zone, who's like, oh, everyone's favorite character, so quirky, so good. And then it's like very casually dropped in one episode that he like murdered a ton of people. And like, it's just like, and we don't really think about that. Like, I'm trying to move past that in my life. And now back to being this quirky character. But then like, as the show develops, that part of him really like
keeps coming back.
Yeah, and that like is a big defining bit for his character.
That's So, have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No.
Okay, so that reminds me, one of the characters, the stunt double, the guy played by, is it Brad Pitt? I don't remember. I think it's Brad Pitt. This shows how much I know of actors. He, like, is suspected to have killed his wife, and, like, it gets brought up a lot around him, and you see one scene of it that really kind of seems like he killed his wife, but it's, like... You're also told, like, man, he goes out and fixes roofs, and he has Corona in his pocket while he's fixing the roof, and he beats the shit out of Bruce Lee, and he looks really cool. And, like, there's a lot of don't think about it on him that resonates with me.
So what's the way you want to discuss this?
I would think talking about, like, maybe some other examples, if you could think of any, and then talking about, like, if it's good.
Okay, like from a design perspective?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get away from characters that are just like, there's a twist.
Yeah.
What's the better way of like defining this kind of story beat?
I think it's... Because there's like two different variations where like there's intentional conspiracy, like Ozpin, and then there is like conspiracy due to like lack of development for Bakugo and for Dumbledore. And I think at the end of Harry Potter, they try to turn Dumbledore into like actual conspiracy, because there's that tell-all written by Rita Skeeter that's like, maybe he killed his sister in a duel. Like, there's a lot of sketchy stuff going on with him. But I think the two ones are either like a character that is meant to be like stoke conspiracy, and then just a character that like is not filled in completely.
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to think of some more examples. There's one in this I don't think is a spoiler. This is a spoiler for like the concept of the Adventure Zone balance. There's the reason I'm thinking about Taz is because Chris and I listened to about 10 hours of it like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
There's the director of the Bureau of Balance, who's like their like boss. Like the main structure of this is they go out on missions to find these artifacts, deliver them back, and the artifacts get destroyed.
Okay.
But she's like the leader of it. And like,
do they really destroy the artifact?
Exactly. So you're supposed to think that the whole time, and like they like, you know, in D&D you can just say it happens, and then it happens. But every single time it's like they bring it into the room and they put it into the ball and they close the ball, and the director zaps it with her staff, and then they open the ball and it is gone. It's like spelled out in detail every time. And I was asking Chris, like, who's listening to Taz with me. I think I just said that anyway. Like, is the director like, what do you think the chances are
that the director's actually doing what they're saying they're doing?
Yeah.
I like that because oh god, something kind of similar. Have you watched Doctor Strange?
No, I haven't.
God damn it. There's a character that is I think it's the Ancient One, and they're like supposed to be this kind of guiding figure that like says they're doing this and that certain things are banned or whatever, and then you find out, like, minor spoilers for Doctor Strange, that they don't adhere to those rules stringently. I think it's really common with mentor figures or like figures in authority.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Which, like, if I wanted to write a video essay on this, I'd be like, it's about how power corrupts and how this is showing that you need to stick it to the man. But I really just think it's like easy to do as a trope.
Yeah, that might be the truth. So then let's think about ones where it's not like that. It's not clear if it's written in or not. Where it's where it seems like the fans might be trying to inject things, which I'm not trying to say derogatorily.
Do you know the plot of Grease?
I saw Grease a long time ago.
Okay, so I think about this a lot because this is one of the fan theories I really like, and it's that the theory is that Sandy is dead. And that when she was swimming during the summer with Danny, she hits her head and is like drowning, and the whole thing is a fever dream. And the like one piece of evidence to support this is that she and Danny get into greased lightning, at the end of it and like drive off into the sun.
Yes.
And everyone's like, that's not real. So I'm just like, is she dead? Is it just them using an example of visual metaphor? Who could know? Like, I don't think she's dead, but also I at least like that it's there.
I like watching, like going onto YouTube at like 3 a.m. and finding a like film theory, the YouTube channel thing titled like "Is SpongeBob Dead?" or something. It's just so like, I guess that's just the entertainingness of conspiracy theories in general.
Yeah, I like conspiracy theories. I think they're fun.
The biggest one of this second type, where there's like very little information and the audience has to try and figure it out for themselves, or like inject some meaning, is Chris and Deltarune.
Yeah.
Like, we know so little about that character.
Especially at the end, where, big spoilers for Deltarune, Chris rips out their heart and throws it into a cage. Well, their soul. My brain still thinks in, like, visual, so I'm just like, it's a heart. No, wrong.
But there's, like, the whole Matt Pat theory on... if the Dark World is real, or if Chris is actually being the game master for a role-playing game. And so I think that is an example of that.
Also, I want to clarify a previous statement. I said I think conspiracy theories are fun, which is true to an extent.
Yeah.
I think like conspiracy theories where it's like pretty like aimless and it doesn't like have any bearing is fun. But I think when you're getting into like... Bush did 9/11 conspiracy theories, I think that's not fun, at least taken seriously. Like, if someone's like, Bush did 9/11, haha, XD, I'm like, okay, like, it's funny that people, like, actually think that. But if someone walked up to me and was like, did you know that Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer? I think we should beat him up. I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, it'd be really different if Matt Pat had a channel about, like, the
Praxis.
kinds of theories, that he has, but about like real people. That would be
terrifying.
Be a different person.
Yeah. So like, please theorize responsibly.
Exactly.
I think who's another good character that like is meant to be mysterious, or that is meant to like stoke conspiracy. If you say Barney Rubble... Sorry, Finn has held up the Marshmallow Fruity Pebbles box.
It's good to do with, like, characters that are very simple, like, from children's shows, I think. Because like, they're not written realistically. They're written...
That's true.
Oh, I guess that's not people who are supposed to be mysterious.
No, but I knew what you meant. So, like, Nick Fury in, like, the really watered-down version of Marvel, he just like knows things and says things without rhyme or reason, and like what if he's secretly blah blah blah. Although I think that's also holdover from like the comic book fandom, always thinking about that at all times. Like since comic books have so many characters that can like shapeshift or create duplicates or whatever, like you immediately start thinking, is this person real? Or
having that as a possibility in that kind of medium, I think, gives you a lot of like potential plot hooks, and I think helps build the fandom around theorizing. You know,
I also think I think there's some really good stuff that is meant to spoke like a conspiracy and then solves itself. So Shutter Island. Is like the whole point of it is that you're supposed to be like theorizing, like, what if this is a setup? What is real? What isn't? And then at the very end, it is revealed that like it's all a setup. And I suppose like you can look into it and be like, is it really? Is this a hallucination? But I think like it's pretty conclusive what it wants to be. But I like that stuff that's just like it's a mystery, and then did you figure it out? I guess conspiracies fit into like the mystery solving genre.
I'm thinking about Swiss Army Man, and I'm thinking about Manny, the corpse played by Daniel Radcliffe, who was also alive. And that's never answered, is the thing.
Is like, how he's alive?
Just anything about him. Like, he has superpowers. We never learn why. And the whole time I think I was supposed to be thinking, like, wait, like, what is possibly happening here? And at the end of the movie, we just don't get an answer.
Yeah. I think it's because Swiss Army Man found a funny joke and didn't explain it.
Yeah, that could be it.
Which once again, I think is a valid form. I think OA does this a lot with characters that are supposed to be...
Oh my god, there's so many, in part 2 about who OA's brother is, about, what do they call it, loop theory? Do you know loop theory?
A bit.
That the very beginning of part 1 is at the end of part 5. And,
I'm thinking about,
And I mean, we got to with OA because there's only 2 parts in a 5-part story.
What's his name? The evil bastard man. I keep thinking it's Draco, or it's Lucius Malfoy. Hap. Thank you. I my brain keeps saying HR, which is the initials of a character. At the very least, similar to. I think he's played by the same actor. He might not be.
Jason Isaacs is the actor.
I will look this up later. But I think just what Hap is doing, and when they bring up huge spoilers for OA, by the way, when they bring up the concept of changing dimensions and they actually do it, who's in what dimension, who's the people that you know and who just looks like it.
Oh yeah,
is a great source of conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other really good? I will hold on. You can speak, and I'm gonna look up really good conspiracies for shows.
Okay. So, I think one of the questions you had asked earlier was just
Is it good?
Yeah. So, from a writing perspective, should you put in this stuff? And I think in terms of establishing a fan base, it's good because you want to have a mysterious story. I think the Orbiting Human Circus does this really well with spoiler. I just stole this from you. Wait, fine. I think this was mine in the first place. Or no, I think I stole this from someone else. I'm holding up a Mardi Gras necklace thing that I accidentally broke earlier. Mm-hmm. Anyway, in Orbiting Human Circus, there's and this is some spoilers for the ending of season 1 and the general modus operandi of season 2 is these constantly switching between story worlds and non-story worlds. Fictional worlds in the fiction and non-fictional worlds in the fiction, if that makes any sense. And then also with direct fourth wall breaks constantly. And the way it kind of maneuvers around that, you're the big mystery becomes who really is Julian, the main character, who shares his name with Julian, the character in the outer story, who shares his name with Julian, the podcaster. And this becomes kind of a mystery for the character himself because he has amnesia. And so he's slowly figuring out who he is through these 3 different story worlds, essentially. Or 2 different story worlds and 1 real world, which he doesn't believe in. For him, the only fictional world is the real one, in an interesting way.
So I found a good one. And it's that... It's about the Flintstones, ironically.
Yes!
I can't believe we found one. So the idea is that the Flintstones and the Jetsons take place in the same, at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And that the Jetsons are, out in the sky. And that the Flintstones are a post-apocalyptic world, of nuclear fallout.
And so I say the Cars theory with the bugs. I love it.
God, I hate the Cars theory. For those of you that don't know, the theory is that all of the cars in Cars are actually bugs.
So good.
And it's awful. I hate it.
Was that a Matt Pat original?
I don't remember. I remember hearing it from Matt Pat.
Okay, sorry, go back to...
So the thing about the Flintstones is, they have, all of these modern conveniences. They have cars and lamps and stuff. But they're all made out of, dinosaurs and stuff. So the idea is, well, how did they, think to do these, but not invent, real electricity or whatever?
Uh-huh.
And so the idea is that they're, imitating stuff that they have, oral traditions of. Through that, through post-apocalypse. And that the Jetsons are just, the people that were rich enough to be able to, go away from the apocalypse.
In a kind of Wall-E kind of...
Yeah. So I like it.
Yeah, I don't... I'm trying to think, is there a bad side about including this in your story? I've thought of the downside.
What is the downside?
Mr. Nobody. Have you seen Mr. Nobody?
No, we keep needing to.
Yeah, so Mr. Nobody is... The entire premise is we don't know what's happening.
Okay.
Which was me at the beginning of this podcast. But the thing that makes this podcast better than Mr. Nobody... I dabbed.
And almost destroyed the table.
No, that sound you heard was just me dabbing.
I'll let them believe the lie.
Is that we resolved it. Whereas, like, Mr. Nobody...
never resolves anything.
It never resolves... It's not just, like, there's, like... Mr. Nobody does not have a concrete story at the base of it. Or, like, it doesn't have interpretations. It just has, ooh, what if it's this? But what if it's this? And everything is contradicting everything else. And it's just so much, like... I remember talking about Mr. Nobody, I think, when we were talking about... what's the word for playing up? Like, exaggerating one's own importance.
I mean, the word I'm thinking of is self-aggrandizement, but that's not what we call the episode. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And hopefully the listeners who listen to all of our episodes will remember what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I think it's fine. I think it's good, in fact, to have some mystery in your story and to have some characters who are mysterious and perhaps have some secret backstories, especially in like a kind of that kind of genre of anime sense.
Yeah.
But I think if your entire story is
secret backstory
that doesn't rest on anything at all, it can be frustrating to watch if you don't have anything to latch onto, like good characters, or I guess the thing Mr. Nobody has is good visuals. Mm-hmm. But it's just like that's just not enough for the kind of story Mr. Nobody is apparently trying to tell.
Yeah, I can't think of any hardcore examples, but I remember hearing this argument a lot that like there's a big separation between like stoking conspiracy theories and then like having a plot twist just for the twist of it.
Is this like the Lost kind of debate?
Yeah, Lost is a good example where it's just like, that's a stupid plot twist. Why'd you put it in? And it's like to keep everyone guessing. Like, and I think that's a dumb thing. I think having conspiracies and like either choosing not to resolve them or whatever is like very good. But I think that like basing all of the medium on not being able to trust anything is pretty wishy-washy.
Especially when it's a character. Especially when it's the main character.
I will say one important caveat for this that I can think of is like the Joker and Joker type characters. So like all of what the Joker says, you have to treat with like so much salt because. But
I imagine there's like a. Sorry, Owen.
Well, the point is like he could just be saying anything to get a rise out of Batman.
But we know why he's doing what he's doing.
Oh, that's
true. He
has
motivations, whereas like the characters in Mr. Nobody, they're just so abstracted that we don't have anything to base it on.
Okay.
For the most part.
Yeah. Like, well, and even then, like, you could say, like, well, the Joker's motivations are, like, not necessarily true. Like, sometimes he says he just wants to cause chaos, and sometimes he wants to hurt Batman. But, like, on the very base level, like, you don't see the Joker do anything that is, like, just doesn't benefit him. Or, like, doesn't make any sense. So I think that's like a fair criticism or a problem with the kind of thing where you're just like always pick the most random nonsensical thing to keep people viewing, because I think that's dumb.
Yeah, so I think the answer might be, as the Buddha says, everything in moderation. I hope that Buddha said that. Everything in moderation. Who said that? Buddha? Was that you? Yes, Finn, it was me. Thank you, Buddha. We also summoned the Buddha. Fun fact.
Wendy helped us summon the Buddha. The Buddha describes the middle way of moderation.
Yeah.
So I don't think everything in moderation is like a direct quote from the Buddha.
Gautama.
Yeah, but the idea is there.
Yeah.
There's also some.
I think. Sorry, I just had an idea.
Okay. I was losing my idea, so go ahead.
Okay. Apologies of me if me expressing what's the word?
Interrupting.
Interrupting. Exclaiming.
Okay.
Maybe you lose that idea.
No.
I think there's also a lot of benefit of having characters who are like impervious to conspiracies, who like we absolutely know about them, or like absolutely know that they're like good people, or
yeah. I think that's fair.
Like they're not in question. Like for instance, we know you cannot have really a conspiracy theory about Saitama, for instance. Like you can have a conspiracy theory about his power
or his origins,
but the actual character, we know him. I would trust him with my life. It's good to have a character that you can trust. I think.
I think the kind of dull nobody is very good to have. I'm watching Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated with Sean right now, and so I watched it kind of when it was airing, so I have a rough knowledge of season 1 and then no knowledge of season 2. But I really like that Scooby and, well, not always Scooby, but Shaggy in that, in most Scooby-Doo is beyond reproach. When Shaggy says something, you're not he's a liar. The gang might be saying he's a liar,
but we know him.
Yeah, at the very least, you trust that Shaggy thinks he experienced that.
Yeah.
Which I think is genuinely important, because if Shaggy were just lying to the mystery gang to get attention, that would ruin his character. I'd kill myself.
Yeah. So I guess for characters like that, you can have conspiracies about events in their life and things that happen to them, but you can't It's good when the character of the character is not in question.
There's I don't know how much traction it has, but there's a conspiracy theory that I saw that Shaggy was in the Vietnam War, and the reason he's so scared of a lot of different things is because he has PTSD, and that Scooby is his therapy dog, or was a dog that was there with him. There's varying.
Well, I believe the new movie, Scoob or whatever, disproves this, as we see exactly when Shaggy.
That's true, but in the original continuity, especially because that was coming out in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I think that it puts an interesting twist on Shaggy, but I don't think it changes his character too much. So I think it's interesting to speculate about stuff like that, but you can't really like I said, impugn his character.
Yeah.
It's why the reason that there are so many different theories about who the UA traitor is, but no one's Deku's the UA traitor, or at least you don't go he's consciously maybe there's a link to his brain that he is feeding people, but you don't go he's betraying UA. That's the
and if it turned out that was true, that would be just shitty. What happened with I know very little about this, but apparently something happened with Captain America.
Okay, yes and no. So briefly, spoilers for the Secret Empire story line of Marvel Comics, but in the Secret Empire, they're he's been a member of Hydra the whole time, and he's been infiltrating the government, and there's actually a bunch of Hydra spies, and he's, he believes in Nazism because he was brainwashed or whatever, and a lot of people hated it because they were that goes against, he's an American, he wouldn't do this, and I thought it was okay, because I thought it was hey, that shows that, hit him with the Garfield, you are not immune to propaganda meme, but I understand why people felt the way they did. It's why, when Spider-Man almost beat the shit out of Sandman. Yeah, Spider-Man beat Sans to death. No, so this is when Aunt May died, and he's so upset that Sandman goes to him and is I'm trying to reform and everything, but he doesn't listen to him and just beats him almost to death. And everyone saw that and it was either you can't do that to Spider-Man, or what a cool, this is how grief would affect someone. And I think, at the very least, with comics, you've had these characters for decades and decades. You can get fancy with it and change their character a bit, but you can't keep doing it. Mm-hmm. That's why, if they came out and was Scooby actually, or Shaggy actually believes this and isn't a coward or doesn't like food or some other thing, you could do it once and you could get away with it. But, keep trying to do it and you're no. It doesn't make sense.
That's what, seemingly the kind of J.K. Rowling effect.
Yeah, where...
Especially, after the fact.
Where it's Snape was a good guy the whole time and you're I don't know about that. Sure, Snape might have been doing some good things on the side, but you can't take away all these fucked up things he's done. That's another thing is apologism for a character that gets really in the way of that. Where Oh, what's a good example? There's some Endeavor apologists, and it makes a bit more sense with manga stuff that we know, but they're just like, who wouldn't want to create like their kid to be the ultimate hero? And it's like, sure, his motivation might have been okay, but he definitely did some really, really fucked up shit in pursuit of that.
Yeah, it's the same with Catra and She-Ra, where people were like, was Shadow Weaver physically abusive to Catra? It's like, it really doesn't matter, because we know, one, Shadow Weaver was emotionally abusive to Catra, and two, Catra is like the villain. Like, she's doing terrible shit every day. Like, we don't, like, it's interesting to examine her character, but at the very end, we know what is up.
It's the same type, and like, I'm going to take this to an extreme to prove the fallacy of it. It's the thing of people going, well, you know, Hitler might have wanted just safety for the German people, or for, you know, he had some really fucked up
this
stuff in
his life. This is another instance of if you do this with real people, like, it's especially terrible.
Yeah, because it's really the Brooklyn Nine-Nine meme of cool motive, still murder, where at the end it's like, look, sure, this character is now a really tragic character that wants revenge on the world. That doesn't make that right. Like, you know, committing war crimes is not okay just because you had an abusive parent or something. Like, so, I don't know. Conspirize with caution.
And also put conspiracies in your media with caution.
Yeah.
To some extent, it is good. To big extent, it is bad.
Yeah, because at some point you get into what can we trust anything, and that doesn't make media enjoyable.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the one of the big points here.
All right, I think I've said my piece.
Me too. That was fun to think about. Fun to like start thinking about, like have my entire train of thought about it be recorded on the podcast. That was a good idea to I try.
All right.
Whatever it's called.
So this is
Spring It On Me.
Speaking of spring, spring break is this upcoming week. This will go out Sunday?
Saturday. It'll go out sometime on Saturday.
Whatever. The Monday after this goes up is...
Guys, open up your phone. Look at the date. I'll put my ear up to the microphone. Tell me what day it is. Thanks. It's coming out on Saturday.
Okay. So yeah.
Wait. Only tell me. Okay, go back in time. Do it again. Only tell me if you're listening to this on the day it comes out. It came out on Saturday.
Okay.
Wait, and then tell me again. It came out on Saturday.
All right. I really love
that was logical. I promise.
I really love the visual comedy that was only for me of Finn putting his ear up to the microphone. But no, so the Monday after this comes out is the start of spring break. I will be home for a bit. Finn will be home for like almost all of it, so we're not going to be able to record. Or at least like it would be shitty audio, and Finn's got stuff to do over break.
I'm also going camping.
All right. Are you going camping with Susan, Chris?
Chris and Avis.
Okay. Where are you going camping?
Somewhere where it's not going to rain. We still have to figure it out.
Oh, fuck. That's rough. Good luck for that.
It's going to be a challenge.
I grew up camping, so it has lost some of the whimsy to me, where everyone's like, oh man, it's so great camping, and I'm like having flashbacks to the time my tent flooded and shit.
No, I kind of hate camping, but like... I feel like it'll be fun to do it with friends.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like it would be a good kind of beach episode, but like a kind of like bonding experience where like it rains or something and we all have a shitty time.
That's fair.
I mean, I really don't know. I really hope that does not happen, to be clear.
But if it does. Alright, so no episode next week. We will return to regular hours after spring break.
Yep.
Hold on, let's see how many plugs I can remember. Leave us a review and a rating on iTunes. Give us an email at foolsandfiction@gmail.com. Hold on. Go to the subreddit, r/foolsandfiction, and listen to other podcasts that we now host at Mary and Mary on Spreaker, facebook.com/user/PCWM? No. What? Hold on. PNWM?
Yes.
Yeah. I do remember that it's the podcasting network, not the podcasting club.
Yeah. I don't have a haiku because I forgot to write one.
Oh, no.
I also can't... Wait, if I can think of a dream in the next, 10 seconds, I'll make up a haiku.
Okay. Thrilling audio experience.
I got a notification Captain Sparkles is live streaming Minecraft.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there goes the 10 seconds. I can't think of a dream.
All
I
right.
don't have to do it.
Dreams are fake. Dream haiku interpretation has been banned from the face of the earth.
No, I'll have one next time.
We'll be back with dream sonnet interpretation.
Yeah. Maybe my punishment is I have to upgrade the poem.
If you write a sonnet, like a real ass sonnet, I'll be very impressed.
Man, I cannot write lyrics for this basic ass song I'm writing for my midterm.
Fair
if
enough.
I can write a sonnet, I will. Maybe that'd be really good practice. I know people say write poetry in order to write music.
Most music rhymes, so. I winked at Finn. I apologize. That's not an auditory thing.
You know what? We should just have podcasts, but also have a video. I just invented video.
You just invented vlogs. That's what you did. But I think that this amount of crazy, stupid talk, we're tired. It's 10:49 at night. I have a midterm tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Good luck.
Please, for the love of God, turn the podcast off.